Hello, I'm James Agonix and welcome to Media Week. Ahead on the program, Fairfax shares spiked after a rumoured TPG takeover. We'll get the latest on that story shortly, and how internet-delivered television is transforming the media landscape. Shane Keats from Akami Technology joins us a little bit later. Of course, my co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week, is here to take us through all those stories plus more. But first, advertisers are boycotting Google and YouTube, with more than 250 companies, including the likes of HSBC and Johnson & Johnson, as well as Toyota, have already suspended their contracts, accusing the platform for allowing their adverts to appear next to controversial content. Well, we've got a special guest panel to discuss this issue plus more. Vijay Solanki, CEO at IAB Australia, and John Miskelly, Chief Digital Officer at Group N, join us here in studio. Gents, appreciate your time today. Vijay, I might just start with you. And look, how big an issue is this from the internet advertiser's perspective?
Look, I think it's worth saying that brand safety is nothing new. It's been with us since the beginning of media. If you think about TV, and a news channel where you might be creating content that is unexpected and an ad's running next to it. If you think about shock jock on a radio, etc. So this isn't a digital topic; it's an industry topic. I think the second point here is that brand safety means different things to different companies. You know, if you're a cheeky underwear brand versus a cautious insurance company, you may have a different view on where you want your brand to appear. I think the thing within the digital sphere is that there's a range of different types of publishers, and they have different approaches and different tools to where you can put your brand, all with good levels of brand safety about them. So, yeah.
I think the thing that's different for me is that the safety has changed, though, hasn't it? I mean, it's not traditional publishers anymore. We're talking about a lot of user-generated content, which can be quite hateful, you know, stuff that we haven't seen before. And this was often painted as the promised land, maybe, for advertisers, where you can get massive reach at low cost. I mean, is that something maybe advertisers haven't come to grips with properly, or...?
Yeah, listen, from an advertising point of view, I think looking at TV metrics, there's always a need to try and chase reach, and YouTube, given its scale, is able to sort of offer quite low unit costs. But this has been a bit of a wake-up call for advertisers, I think, about where their brands appear and what the contextual relevance is against. So there's a real balance between cost and quality. I think a lot of advertisers are looking at now, and have taken a note over the last week or so.
So you think this could have longer-term ramifications for those brands that are particularly brand safety conscious?
Yeah, listen, I think that brands will now look at what quality means.
Yeah.
I think that it won't just be about cheap reach, but quality reach will come into play. And I think some brands will want to have an absolute cast-iron guarantee that their ads are appearing in really safe environments.
How much is programmatic sort of to blame for some of this too, where it's just left to a mathematical formula to work out where I can get cheap spots and good reach?
I think programmatic, what we've got to remember is it's sensible automation. I think that equally with programmatic, there are many tools and levers that advertisers and their agencies can use to decide where they want their ads to run, and equally where they don't. There are various tools and systems that you can use to ensure high levels of brand safety.
Yeah, but they haven't been used, it looks like, properly, or do we need a little bit more human intervention in some of these transactions?
In this particular YouTube example, you could ring up YouTube and buy a campaign over the phone with your sales rep, and this wouldn't have made any difference, or programmatic wouldn't have made any difference. So the core of the problem here is the fact that YouTube is so open sourced, and the majority of content is safe and fine to run in, but because it's so open sourced and users can upload videos, and there's not complete vetting of all videos, that this has happened, and I don't think you can pin this YouTube issue on programmatic per se.
Would you expect to see some sort of response from the platforms, be it YouTube or some of these other platforms, that probably would go, oh goodness, this is a bit of a reminder as to maybe we need to be a little bit more focused on where we're allowing ads to be placed, or how open source we are?
Listen, to Google's credit, they've reacted very, very well over the last couple of days. I've even had emails, and my emails are walking in the door here about some of the updates they're making to the platform. So to their credit, they've acted very, very quickly to try and update some of the safety measures. But I think the point boils down to the fact that within these environments, it's impossible to be 100% safe, just given the open nature of the platform.
So I think what that means is that advertisers, and what's good about all of this, is it's making advertisers think about the nature of their brands, the audiences and the environments that they want to play in, and the level of investments that they want to make. The facts are that across Australia, there's a range of different types of publishers. And so they've got to think about where they want to be and what they want to invest.
We see that certainly short term, this doesn't seem to be will be a significant financial pain for Google. Do you think there'll be brand damage there, though? I mean, long term?
I think it certainly has dented the credibility and the integrity of the YouTube platform, but make no mistake, YouTube or Google make most of their money from search advertising from a very, very long tail, so I don't think financially it'll make a huge difference. But I think advertisers will... It's certainly dented their integrity a little bit.
Yeah. And what about the sector, VJ? Do you think there's any...
No, I mean, I come back to a very simple fact. And sometimes in these sorts of conversations and news stories, a simple audience has been forgotten, and that's the consumer. And the facts are that the time spent online by consumers in Australia has doubled in the last 4 years. We've got 20 million Aussies online every day, 15 million Aussies on their mobiles every day. So any smart marketeer is looking at where the audience is going, and clearly the audience is spending a lot of time in the digital space.
Do you think that on behalf of some of the brands that there's sometimes a degree of oversensitivity? I mean, how many people who are watching YouTube in this case, because an ad for Kia or something like that is running against something that is against their messaging, would actually draw a link between the two? I mean, does that actually really happen?
There's a very... let's be honest, there's a very low volume of impressions running against this. One advertiser we found it was 4 impressions. Yeah. So the volume is really low, but that being said, brands want to make sure that they're associated with premium, safe content, and it's just no brand wants to be associated with that, irrespective of how small the chance of risk is. So I think it's fair for advertisers to be cautious around this.
I think that's absolutely right, and I think John makes a really, really good point, which is to get into the data. To what extent has this happened? So we heard some anecdotal numbers there. I think we're on a mission now as the IAB to really put a firm number on. There was one that was released today, I think, from IAS that showed 5%, but we've got to really check and validate those numbers, and let's be sure that this isn't a storm in a teacup.
Do you think we'll be seeing any other media sectors maybe taking advantage of this as you know, restating their claim, their safety, their environment over others?
I'm sure the TV guys are licking their lips at this. Highly viewable, brand-safe environments with sound on. I think they'll be loving it.
Yeah, yeah. VJ, do you think, I mean, I take your point that it's unlikely consumer behaviour is going to change, isn't it? Because, I mean, there's audiences for some of this unsafe content, isn't there?
I think it's less about that. For me, it's the fact that in Australia there's a range of different publishers, and a lot of them offer fantastic environments that are incredibly brand safe. So I suspect they'll be trying to make the most of this opportunity too.
All right, we've got to leave it there. VJ Salanki and John Miskelly, appreciate you both joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
We are off to a quick break. When we come back, plenty more on Media Week, including how Akami Technologies is working with the major broadcasters and using internet-delivered television to transform the media landscape.